All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Law, and we are going to begin with our expedited accusation calendar for today, February 8th. These are misdemeanor cases in which individuals who were recently arrested and booked at the jail, their cases have now been formally accused by the prosecutor. When I call or address each of your cases, I will let you know what's your new case number, the charges of which you've been accused, to appoint counsel to represent you if necessary, and also to set a bond. Some of you may receive what we call a signature bond, in which you would have to comply with the conditions, but you won't have to pay for the bond today. Others may qualify for what we call a surety bond or a cash bond, where you would have to pay for the bond either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. Please remember that these are criminal charges brought against you, so you have a constitutional right to remain silent. Anything that you choose to say during the course of this virtual proceeding that's not only being recorded but live streamed, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. If you are a alleged victim in the case, if you are a family member or a friend or any person who wants to chime in support or against a defendant, at the present time, please switch off your video and mute your screen. Switch your video off and mute your screen. The only folks who may leave their video on are the attorneys and courthouse staff, as well as courtroom 2. All right, don't know who's hosting. Mr. Jordan, are you hosting?
No, Your Honor, it'll be Miss Strong.
Oh, Ms. Strong?
Miss Bridgewater, it's Miss Grace, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought it was Casey.
Thank you. And I'm trying to reach a Spanish interpreter for us, you guys.
All right, before you do that, maybe some of the folks don't know how to switch off their video. Could you stop the video for Samsung,
Yes,
Taylor, Motorola? Let's go ahead and stop that video. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, courtroom 2, good afternoon. Who do we have?
Can I give you the reset date for the SAP calendar?
Yes.
It's gonna be February the 20th.
20th, got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Your Honor, I have a question. This is Miss Yolanda Marks. She's not on the calendar. Is there going to be an add-on?
I don't see one. Let me see. Mr. Ham, do you have an addition to our calendar today?
No, the warrants that were pulled show that she has a felony charge. So we requested that she be placed on a felony calendar this morning.
All right. If she hasn't had her felony first appearance today, she will have it on Monday at 11 a.m. So she's not on our calendar.
Your Honor, I was called from the jail and I interviewed her earlier. Her husband, her son, and I believe the alleged victim, who's also a younger son of hers, they are all on the Zoom. The family is really concerned that she have her hearing today, and they're already logged into the hearing.
All right. Do you know what her charges are, Ms. McLeod?
My understanding is that there may be a battery and an obstruction charge, Your Honor.
Okay.
I just texted the ASGs to ask whether or not we could have a breakout room to discuss her case.
Yeah, what's her name? I mean,
Yolanda Marks, Your Honor.
If anyone is here for Yolanda Marks, this is the time to mute your screen and start your video. All right. If you are appearing in this courtroom, remove any head covering that you have. Otherwise, we will remove you from the Zoom.
I guess I'm not familiar with the Zoom, but
your name?
My name is Antonio Marks. I'm her husband.
Hold. That's all I need to know. All right, Mr. Marks, is there a Taylor and some other person on a Motorola phone that you're familiar with?
No, Derek Meredith. That's her son. That's our oldest son.
Okay, and who's this Taylor?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Miss Grace, go ahead and stop the video for Taylor. And Miss McLeod, did you want to go into that breakout?
I'm
Yes,
here.
Your Honor.
Taylor?
Are you involved with Miss Marks?
No, not Miss Marks. Mr. Simpson, Landon
Okay, go
Simpson.
ahead and place Taylor in the waiting room, please. place Taylor in the waiting room. All right, Miss Grace, place Miss McLeod, Motorola, and Samsung in a breakout, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, courtroom 2, next case, please.
Please go to position number 22, Ms. Tone Town.
22, okay. All right, let's see now. This is Tracy Diane Towns, accused of simple battery family violence from January 29th of this year. Her case number is 25 CR 667Y. Ms. Towns, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney at the present time is going to be, is it Ms. McLeod? Oh, it's Mr. Doties. All right.
She got 8 total. 06 battery, false report of a crime dismissed.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mokeke?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened at 3116 Benjamin Mays Drive Southwest in Atlanta. The victim is the defendant's 11-year-old daughter with the initials JJ. The defendant is accused of going to her daughter's school and striking her with what appeared to be a stick 5 times across the rear of her lower body. The incident was caught on the school security camera. The state's recommendation for Ms. Towns is a signature bond, no further violent contact with her daughter, JJ, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Okay. Mr. Dotis?
Yes,
To
yes,
the,
Your Honor. We would agree with the state's recommendation. Ms. Towns is 51 years old, lifelong resident of Atlanta. As we heard, last cycle was back in 06, no FTAs or anything like that. I have a good address for her. She is the mother of 4 children. The alleged victim does reside with her, and she's currently in the care of Ms. Towns' son right now, but that's not a permanent housing. So Ms. Towns is anxious to get back and continue providing for her children. She also has a good job with integrated de-icing services where she de-ices planes. Again, we'd agree with the state's recommendation, ensuring that there's no further violent contact so she can continue to parent her children.
bond is set at 2,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. No further violent contact with JJ or any of her children. She's to stay away from the school. She's not allowed to return to the school at all. If she has any business with the school with regards to her children attending there, she would need to send a third party with power of attorney. Within 30 days of being released on a signature bond, she will enroll in a domestic violence intervention program, and she will begin those classes, enroll in those classes, and begin and attend every one of those classes without missing or skipping any of them. Her next court date will be sent to her current address. And if she gets arrested again for anything else, the signature bond will disappear.
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. McLeod, have we completed our discussions with Samsung and Motorola?
Samsung has not accepted, Judge, but Motorola and Ms. McLeod is in the breakout.
Mr. Marks? Oh, did he go in already?
He just did. I guess he just noticed it.
Needed you to say it. Okay, thank you. Next case, please, courtroom 2.
Position number 12, Ms. Jenkins.
This is Crystal Jenkins, accused of no insurance, driving while license suspended or revoked, and knowingly driving a vehicle on a suspended registration from February 7, 2025. Mr. Howard, I do know that she has 18 cycles. Does she have a recent open case for driving while license suspended?
Hold on. I don't know why they put that in there. They put the current booking number in the slot. Hold on. Let me see something.
Your Honor, Jamal Ham for the state. I noticed a September 2018 driver while license suspended conviction.
Okay, but there hasn't been anything else other than this case in 2025?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Well, what's your recommendation?
How do they do this?
Your Honor, the state is requesting a signature bond on all 3 counts, no insurance, driver while license, and no registration.
All right. Any objection, Ms. Melnick?
No, Your Honor, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay. On each count is on the no insurance is 1,500. Driving while license suspended or revoked is going to be 1,500, and the registration is 500. A total bond is 3,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. And Ms. Jenkins, no driving unless you have a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. All 3 must be present. If you get pulled over again or if you get arrested again, this 3,500 signature bond will be revoked, and you'll need to pay that bond the next time you come back to court. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we can go to position number 7, Mr. Dawson.
This is State versus James Dawson, accused of theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass from February 6, 2025. Mr. Dawson's got been advised of his rights. His attorney is Ms. Melnick, and I see he's got 16 cycles. Do we have another open case for theft by shoplifting?
24 CR 007 048G. That's
That-
trespass, shoplifting, and giving false name.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ham, any recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on February 6, 2025 at the Walmart at 844 Cleveland Avenue, where he was accused of stealing several items, mostly laundry detergent and things of that nature. The state is asking for 1,500 surety bond on the criminal trespass and this 1,500 surety bond on the theft by shoplifting. That open case that was mentioned, 24 CR 0070448G, it's from the same incident location. So he was on bond and advised not to return to that location, and he went back to that same Walmart and committed another theft by shoplifting.
Thank you. Ms. Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I had technical glitch there. Yes, Your Honor, I spoke to my client, and he has recently been released from prison, and he's on his feet. He understands that this is not how to do it. And when I spoke to him about reconnecting with some of the engagement in the community organizations, and I gave him the names of some so that this is not going to continue to be an issue, and they can help him get back on his feet. He's not a harm to society. He's not a flight risk. And we are, because he does have ties to the community. So we are asking for a signature bond.
His prior bond was a signature bond through pretrial. So as a result of this new arrest, you do understand that that pretrial bond is surrendered.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So this particular charge is going to be $1,000 on the theft by shoplifting, $500 on the trespass. His total bond is $1,500. It is a surety bond. No, to stay away from all Walmart stores, every single one, including the Walmart at Cleveland Avenue, and no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Mr. Dawson, as a result of this new arrest, unfortunately, your prior signature bond is converted to a surety bond. So in order to secure release, you need to bond out on $3,500. And your next court date for both cases is going to be February 20th.
Oh, can I say one thing, ma'am?
Not yet. We're going to, Ms. Bridgewater, we will reset both these cases to February 20th. And Mr. Dawson, if you choose to say anything, please remember that you have a right to remain silent, and anything you say could be used against you in the prosecution of your case.
Yeah.
Yes, he does not need to be saying anything.
Well, I'm gonna speak on my behalf regardless. No disrespect to my lawyer, but I have been gone to prison for 15 years. I just got out in May, and I just know I had no other resources at this time, and I've tried. So never feel like I just want to be in the community, taking advantage of people's property and taking it and just taking people's stuff. I don't want to do it. I just do it as a survivor precursor.
I'm sorry, you just do it as a survivor?
Yeah, I did it in the past as a survivor precursor. I'm not talking about now or the prior case. I'm just talking about just in general, ma'am. I have done things like this just to survive.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand your point right now. You are in jail now for 2 shoplifting cases.
Ma'am.
That's going to be your bond, and the reason the bond is the way it is to reflect the fact that you have a high likelihood to reoffend.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you will speak to your attorney and we'll see you on February 20th, unless you bond out.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right.
Your Honor, what is that other case number so I could put it on this calendar?
Certainly, it's 24 CR 007-048G.
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Position number 2, Mr. Baker.
All right, Ms. McLeod, have you addressed the Marks family? Then we are good there?
Yes, Your Honor, I spoke with Dad and her eldest son. They're pretty concerned about her, based on the general state of her health, Your Honor, her being in jail until Monday. And they also want to make sure that whenever she makes her first appearance, that they are informed.
Okay. It will be 11 a.m. They need to contact the clerk's office or Superior Court to get the Zoom link. I don't have it. I have no clue. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Courtroom 2, who is this?
Position number 2, Mr. Baker.
Thank you. This is Jeffrey Baker, accused of 3 driving infractions, seatbelt violation as an adult, distracted driving, a violation of the Georgia hands-free law, and driving while license suspended or revoked from February 7th. Mr. Baker, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Melnick. I do understand he's got 13 cycles with an open case for battery, but other than that, Mr. Ham, what's your recommendation?
Your Honor, he's charged with a count of seatbelt violation, distracted driving, driving while license suspended. The state is asking for signature bonds on each of those counts.
Okay. Ms. Melnick, on the driving while license suspended is going to be 1,000. The seatbelt and the distracted driving are going to be 250 each. His total bond is 1,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. No driving unless he has a valid Class C driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration for the vehicle that he operates. If he gets pulled over, arrested, or doesn't show up for court, his $1,500 signature bond will be converted to a surety bond. Thank you.
Can you say that breakdown again, Your Honor?
Sure. Seatbelt is 250, distracted driving 250, suspended license 1,000.
Next, we will go to position number 18, Mr. Swindle.
Patrick Swindle is accused of simple assault family violence from January 24th of this year, case 25 CR 662J. Mr. Swindle, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is Mr. Dotis. And Mr. Dotis, this is his 3rd arrest cycle. Ms. Mulcahy, what's your recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the defendant, the victim in this case is Kimberly Swindle, who is the defendant's mother. The defendant came home and was upset because the bedroom door had been opened in order for them to reset the internet. So he began yelling at his mother, cursing at her, calling her names, calling her a liar. Then he began walking towards her in an aggressive manner. Due to recent behavior where he had thrown things around the house and destroyed objects, his mom was afraid for her safety. So her son-in-law, Eric, had to step in between the two and de-escalate the situation. Our office has spoken with Ms. Swindle, who states the information in the warrant is correct. She states that she also has a TPO on the defendant. She states she would like no further contact and wants him to stay away. She believes he is suffering from MH and hopes that he will be evaluated. The state's recommendation is a signature bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, some anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol. Maybe a BHET would be helpful. And I would just ask the court to sound for Ms. Kimberly Swindle if she is on the Zoom.
Ms. Swindle, if you'd like to address the court, you would need to unmute and start your video. I see a name, Kelly Swindle, with some kind of script out there. Mr. Dotis, any objection with the stay away, no contact?
No objection, Your Honor. I have good contact information for Mr. Swindle. He does have a fiance that he plans on staying with. He was living at the incident location, so he does understand he cannot return and that he needs to update his address. He didn't know the address off the top of his head, but he is clear that he cannot return. Your Honor, he disputes what happened, but it has been a tumultuous time within the family home, so he's on board with some separation. So we would just agree with the signature bond request.
Bond is set at 1,500. It's a signature bond for pretrial services, level 1. He'll need to update the court with his new mailing address wherever he plans to live within 30 days of being released. No contact with Kimberly Swindle. He is to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. He's to stay away from her residence, and he's allowed to go there one time only with a police officer to retrieve his personal belongings, but must be in the company of a police officer. Within 15 days of being released, he will undergo a BH evaluation, and he may do that with any healthcare provider or mental health therapist. And he will need to report to pretrial once a month, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons and firearms, and to comply with any treatment or counseling that's required. Thank you.
Next, we can go to position 17, Mr. Simpson.
All right. Miss Strong, was it Miss Strong? Miss Grace. Miss Grace, can you bring in Taylor from the waiting room if she's still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. This is State versus Lynn Perry Simpson, case number 25 CR 000661F. Mr. Simpson is accused of stalking, terroristic threats and acts, and loitering and prowling from February 7th, 2025. Mr. Simpson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is it Mr. Dotis or Ms. Melnick?
Mr. Simpson is a conflict, Your Honor.
Oh, Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor, I represent Mr. Simpson.
All right, good. I have 18 arrest cycles for Mr. Simpson. Anything to add, Mr. Howard?
FTA 2015 probation. He had a burglary that was DWOP recently. 2014 trespass conviction. That's it.
Thank you. All right. Yes, Ms. Mulcahy?
Yes, Your Honor. The victim in this case is Ms. Taylor Carter. Officers responded to a call regarding the defendant repeatedly knocking on the victim's apartment door. When they arrived at the location, they observed the defendant walking out of a vacant apartment, and he advised that he was looking for his property. The victim told officers the defendant had been knocking on her door, stating he would beat her ass. He shone a light into her window and said, "I see you, bitch." The defendant had previously been arrested this past January for burglary for entering the victim's apartment and sitting on her bed in her underwear. He was released February 5th, and then 2 days later, he went to the victim's house and began harassing her. The victim does not know the defendant, and he is not a resident of the apartment complex. Our office has spoken with Ms. Carter. She states all the information in the warrant is correct. She states, of course, this is not the first time that it's happened, as he was at her house in January. She says she's in fear for her and her 12-year-old son's safety, and she remains in the apartment because she does not have the resources for her to move immediately. Her brother has come to stay with her in the interim. The state's recommendation, given the facts of this case, we're very concerned for the safety of this victim and her child, is a $10,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from that incident location, that he get an MHET, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And that 2025 burglary case that was DWOPed is 25 PI 000314.
Okay. Ms. Taylor, if you want to address the court, you would need to start your video, please.
I'm trying to. It says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
All right, let's see if we can prompt that. Ms. Grace, if you could prompt.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. There we go. All right. Ms. Taylor Carter, do you want to say something or do you agree with what the prosecution had just said?
I agree with the prosecution has said, but I'm scared because I feel like nobody's taking it serious in the fact that his burglary charge was dropped and he showed up.
That's all I want to know, whether you agree with the prosecutor. Okay, because I haven't placed the oath. That's all I want to know. Thank you. Ms. McLeod, anything to add?
No, Your Honor, but I would certainly ask for a signature bond for my client. He denies the allegations in the warrant, Your Honor, and he is indigent. He doesn't have the money to pay for bond. He tells me that he was there because he has someone, an acquaintance of his who lives in the complex, and that's the only reason why he was there. And he was surprised when he was accosted by the police and taken into custody.
Okay. On the stalking, it's going to be 2,500. On the terroristic threats, it's going to be 1,500, and the loitering and prowling is 1,000. His total bond is going to be 5,000. It is a surety bond. He's to stay 500 yards away from the entire apartment complex. If he knows someone or some people there, they can come visit him, but he cannot go to the complex. And he definitely has to stay 500 yards away from Ms. Taylor Carter. Ms. Carter, if you want to obtain a Superior Court protective order, you would need to go to the Family Violence Division and approach them to make the necessary application. His next court date is going to be February 20th. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, next case, please.
So would I be able to sell my own bond?
You have a $5,000 surety or good bond. You would have to go through a bonding company, which charges 10 to 15% of that bond amount, or you would need to pledge that amount in cash.
I don't have any way to pay it.
Then we will see you on February 20th.
All right.
Thank you.
Your Honor, are we gonna have a Spanish interpreter today?
Are we going to have, so far, we've not had any success.
Okay. We could go on.
Yes.
Excuse me, Judge, I just got in contact with someone. I'm about to send the link to
Miss Lucia?
No, ma'am. Ada, Lynn. I'm about to send the link.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right,
You're
Deputy, if you hold, we will have a Spanish interpreter shortly. Mr. Dotis, is that your client?
Yes, John. I was going to ask if jail courtroom 1 was available to put him in, so I could do a breakout room because I do need to speak with him.
Okay, I'm going to let the deputy let me know how they're going to arrange it, and once the interpreter is there, then we'll take it up.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We can take up the next case now.
Petition number 23, Mr. Williams. And Your Honor, we'll just, once the Spanish interpreter log on, we'll log on in courtroom 1.
Courtroom 1. Okay, thank you. All right, we have State versus Jakari Trevon Williams, 25 CR 668C, accused of battery, family violence from November 11th, 2024. Mr. Williams, you have the right to remain silent as advised, and your attorney is Mr. Dotis. Understand this is his first arrest. Ms. Mukeke, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The victim in this case is Jasmine Wingfield. She was living with the defendant at the time. Officers arrived at the location and spoke with her. She advised that they had been arguing about her leaving the blinds open, and the defendant was packing up her things. She asked why her items were being packed, and the defendant pushed her to the floor and began punching her. She had a swollen cheek, bleeding nose, and scratch to her throat. She stated that she did manage to call her mom and alert her of the situation. Given that this is his first arrest, the recommendation is a signature bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while on bond, and that he undergo an FBIP or anger awareness.
And do you know if the alleged victims, well, she's here, so maybe I can find out from her. Jasmine Wingfield, if you'd like to contribute, you would need to start your video and unmute. Miss Grace, could you put Pamela Baker's video off, please? It's very distracting.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Jasmine Wingfield? All right. Miss Mulcahy, do you know if Miss Wingfield still lives at the incident location?
I am not sure, Your Honor. We can do a one-time law enforcement escort to see if she lives there.
All right, Mr. Dotis, any objection?
Your Honor,
I don't know what's going on there, but go on, Mr. Dotis.
Your Honor, I did speak with Miss Wingfield earlier today. She reached out and I provided her the Zoom link. It looks like she's maybe having some technical issues.
I'm here on the Zoom.
All right, you need your video on, Miss Wingfield, if you want to address.
Y'all can't hear me?
You need to start your video. There we go. All right, Miss Wingfield, please raise your right hand.
My video is on, ma'am. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay, raise your right hand.
Hello? What's wrong with this thing?
All right, your Wi-Fi is not very stable, so you need to listen carefully.
The video is lagging.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you still live at the incident location?
Yeah.
And
No, ma'am.
you do not live there. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. You may mute your screen, please. All right, Mr. Dotis, any objections?
Is it possible if I can say something or no?
Your Wi-Fi is not stable. I cannot. Mr. Dotis, anything else to add?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Williams is 22 years old. This is his first cycle. I do have good contact information. He's a lifelong resident of Atlanta. He will be residing with his mother and he has family support. He is the father of 3 children. He raises those with Jasmine. And Your Honor, I did speak with Jasmine earlier and I had hoped, I'm not sure what's going on. I don't want to speak on her behalf, but when we did speak, she said that she wanted to have contact. She wasn't afraid, and there have been no follow-up incidents since this incident that occurred back in November. Your Honor, Mr. Williams is he works as a maintenance tech at a building complex for Related Management Group, and he's the breadwinner in the family. He provides for Jasmine and their 3 children. So, Your Honor, he'll do anything he can to through pre-trial to get out and provide for Jasmine and the children. But I would ask if we could find a way to hear from Jasmine to see if she wants to have contact and to ensure that he can, continue providing and living with them.
All right. And are these 3 children that he shares with Miss Wingfield?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Bond is going to be set at $3,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, and that's going to be a level 2 reporting. He's to have no further violent contact with Jasmine Wingfield. Within 30 days of being released on his signature bond, he is to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program and attend and complete all 26 classes at his expense. He must make sure that he submits a certificate of completion to his pretrial officer. Within 60 days of being released, he will file a legitimation action with the appropriate superior court to legitimize the 3 children that he shares with Ms. Wingfield. And no illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, and no weapons and no firearms. He will be subject to random screens by pretrial for illegal drugs and or alcohol beverages. Your next court date, Mr. Williams, will be sent to your current address. And if you get arrested again for anything else, if you violate the conditions, or if you don't report to court when summoned, this bond will be revoked and converted to either a no bond or a surety bond. Thank you.
Next, we can go to position number 21, Mr. Tibbs.
Okay. I don't see our interpreter yet, so. This is State versus Rudolph Tibbs, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property from April 16, 2024. His case number is 25 CR 666G. Mr. Tibbs, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Dotis. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
7, on probation and out of the city for suspended license. 2017 suspended license, 2012 marijuana possession.
Thank you. Ms. McCarthy?
Yes, Your Honor. The victim in this case is Adrian Ashton, who is the defendant's ex-girlfriend. The parties were having a verbal dispute, and the defendant damaged the victim's windshield by throwing rocks at it. Our office has spoken to Ms. Ashton. She states she wasn't aware the defendant had a warrant, that her and the defendant have been off and on since this incident happened, but now that she's arrested, she's not sure how well that is going to go. She states that what is stated in the warrant is correct. At first, she stated that she would like no further contact, but then later in the conversation stated that she changed her mind and wanted no further violent contact. The state's recommendation is a signature bond. Just given the kind of back and forth that she did, we're just going to ask for no further contact, stay away from that incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. Maybe some anger awareness would be beneficial for Mr. Tibbs.
Okay.
And I would ask the court to sound for the victim.
Ms. Adrian Ashton, if you're on Zoom, this is the time to unmute and start your video. No. Mr. Dotis, it's going to be $1,000 signature bond.
Excuse me.
Oh, is that her? Portia?
Hi. Sorry, yeah.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your windshield been fixed?
Yes, it has.
And who paid for it?
I did.
He didn't pay for it?
No, ma'am.
All right, well, extremely generous of you. What would you like to tell me about contact?
I kind of like, I don't know, Miss McKay, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Me and Rudolph Tibbs have still been off and on.
So are you off or are you on right now?
We were kind of on.
Present. You are off or you are on right now?
We were on. I didn't even know that he had a warrant.
So now you're presently off.
Well, yeah, because I didn't even know he was in jail till this morning.
You mean if he wasn't in jail, you would still be dating him?
Possibly so, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm glad I don't hear the sound of conviction from the victim, but as I was saying, the bond is set at $1,000. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. Mr. Tibbs, you can sign for your release bond, and you are to have no contact with Adrian Ashton until further order of the court. If down the road, Ms. Ashton wishes to, with conviction, have a communication or contact with you, she can reach out to the prosecutor's office to have the bond order amended. But from this point onwards, make sure you report to pretrial once a month. No contact with Ms. Ashton, and if you get arrested again or if you violate the conditions, this bond could be revoked. All right? Thank you. Next case, please.
Position number 11, and we're currently about to log in to courtroom 1.
Okay. All right, let's see how far we go before we place Mr. Dotis and his client in a breakout. Ms. Lynn, thank you so much for being here. As soon as courtroom 1 is available, we'll put you in a breakout with the defendant and his attorney. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Courtroom 2, who are we addressing presently?
Number 11, Mr.
Number
Hewitt.
11, okay.
I'm so sorry. Who is it?
Number 11, Edward Hewitt.
Okay, yes, sorry.
Okay. This is Mr. Hewitt, who is charged with criminal trespass from August 23rd of last year, case number 25 CR 649J. Mr. Hewitt, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Ms. Melnick. I see he's got 22 cycles. Anything to add, Mr. Howard?
Probation and cob shoplifting. 2024, a couple of probations. Well, 3 of them. 2023 probation, 3 FTAs from 2023. 2023 shoplifting NOLO, 2022 probation, 2022 FTA and probation. 2021 disorderly conduct trespass conviction, and a 20.
That's good. Thank you. Mr. Ham, what's your recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The state will note that he has 21 arrest cycles, all occurred since 2019. So this incident happened at 1 Glen Lake Parkway in Sandy Springs. He was accused of damaging the front door glass and remaining on the property overnight against the owner's consent. Based upon his history and the this incident location and time of incident, the state is asking for $1,500 surety bond from the criminal trespass and to stay away from 1 Glen Lake Parkway in Sandy Springs, Georgia.
Ms. Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. I did note that this incident allegedly occurred back on August the 23rd of 2024. And the only way they identified him allegedly is from a video. Doesn't really give him any more, when I looked at the warrant, doesn't give it any more further description. I know this is not a trial, but I would like the court to take that into consideration as well. And we are asking for a signature bond. He is from Atlanta, and he does have family ties here, so he would not be a flight risk.
Is this Maple Creek location still his valid address?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Bond is set at $1,000. It's just a surety bond. To stay 200 yards away from the building CBC at 1 Glen Lake Parkway in Sandy Springs. And next court date is February 20th. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
That's pretty
Good
good. Go ahead, ACDC.
Yes.
Good afternoon. The ladies
Good
just need to
afternoon.
get right.
Sorry, Francois, what were you saying?
No, I said good afternoon. The ladies just need to hear their right.
Okay. Courtroom 1 is present. Mr. Dotis. All right. Miss Grace, could you place our Spanish interpreter, Miss Lean? The courtroom identified as Zoom rooms, and PD Angelo Dotis in a breakout, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is addressing the individuals who are in ACDC or anyone else who just came into courtroom 2. This is a misdemeanor calendar in which individuals have been recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Your cases have now been formally accused by the Solicitor General of Fulton County. Please remember that when we are addressing your cases, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney if you cannot afford one. One will be appointed to represent you. Today, we will be addressing your case where I'll advise you of what your case number is, the charges that have been brought against you, to appoint counsel when necessary, and to also set you a bond. All right, ACDC, who do we have first? And we can only address Ms. Melnick's clients presently.
They're all my clients, Your Honor.
Okay.
This is going to be position number 3, Ms. Campbell.
All right. This is State versus Sojourner Campbell, accused of battery, family violence from February 6th. Ms. Campbell, I understand there's a reset from yesterday's expedited calendar. Ms. Campbell, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is Ms. Melnick, and she's got 5 cycles. Anything else to add, Mr. Howard?
2020 battery DV conviction. I got 2 of those. 2020 DUI conviction. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Ham?
Yes, Your Honor. As you can, as was just heard, she has a prior battery family violence, so technically this one should be a misdemeanor, and so at one point we will upgrade this.
I'm sorry, did you mean to say this one should be a Misdemeanor or
I'm
felony?
a felony. I apologize. This should be a felony, Your Honor, being that she has a previous battery family violence conviction. Your Honor, this incident stems from an altercation that happened between the defendant and Willie Milley, who is present on Zoom. I see his name present. The defendant punched Mr. Milley in the left eye. At that time, they both lived at the same location with each other. They both had been drinking. They got into an altercation, which led to the incident. Your Honor, based upon our previous history of battery family violence conviction, she also had another battery that was amended to, battery family violence that was amended to a battery. We are asking for a $3,500 surety bond for this count, to stay away from the incident location and to have no further contact with Mr. Willie Maley.
Mr. Maley, if you'd like to address the court, you would need to unmute and start your video. All right, Ms. Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. If you look closely, my client was actually this incident actually occurred on February this since it allegedly have occurred, and my client was arrested. She was taken to the jail, and they immediately transported her to Grady. She's been in Grady since then, Grady Hospital. She just got out late last night, and that's why today she's on the calendar. It's female related, possibly, and I am worried about her, especially given the conditions of the jail. I understand her prior record. However, I did speak with her. She is originally from Macon, Georgia, and if you look at her charges, some of them are from Macon, Georgia. She is wants to go back to her to Macon to stay with her mother and to get away from the situation. I think that I know we're not here for trial today, but I think when the facts start, being flushed out, they'll see that this is better case for women resorting to violence on this particular case. But given her history, especially with being in Grady, this week I have two clients today that have been Grady that just were released last night. But I really implore the court to really give her a signature bond on this one.
Mr. Maley, would you like to address the court? You need to. Did you? I can't read lips, but you need to unmute. Can't hear you. All right. Mr. Maley, we cannot hear you. Ms. Grace, could you prompt him to start his audio? All right. Ms. Campbell, what the prosecutor was trying to stress is that you've got a prior conviction for battery family violence. So this new arrest for battery family violence, it has the potential of being upgraded to a felony charge. So I'm going to give you a bond, a release bond, but you're going to have to comply with these conditions. Otherwise, you're giving the prosecutor more fuel to pursue a felony charge in this case. Your bond's going to be set at $5,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. You're going to have to make a trip once a month to visit pretrial. While you are on this signature bond, you are to have no further contact with Mr. Willie Maley. You are to stay 200 yards away from him and not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. You are also to stay away from the location that you share with Mr. Maley. I am not going to give you a one-time visit. You're not allowed to go back to that location. If you have a friend who can go and get your stuff, that's great, but you cannot go there. Do you understand? You cannot even drive your friend there. You have to stay 200 yards away. Within 30 days of being released and while you are living in Macon, you will enroll and complete a domestic violence intervention program. I don't know if you've done one in the past, but clearly nothing stuck. So I'm going to require you to invest in another one, and you're going to enroll in those classes within 30 days of being released. You must show proof to your pretrial officer that you've enrolled in those classes and that you will attend and complete every single class without missing or skipping them. Understood? no illegal drugs, no alcohol. So you are not to consume any alcohol, no illegal drugs, and you will be subject to random screens. Thank you.
That is per judge.
Yes, sir.
Next, Judge, I have position number 9, Florence.
Okay. Mr. Melly, can you hear us? That didn't work either. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Melly,
Yes. Can you hear me?
I cannot see you now. You got the video the other way.
Yeah, but can you hear me now?
I don't care about hearing you. I need to see you and hear you.
Okay. I'm trying to do it.
All right. Let's go ahead and mute Mr. Maley until he figures out his video. Thank you. All right, Miss Candasia Malvinette Florence is accused of terroristic threats and acts and criminal trespass causing damage to property from January 17th, 2025. Her case number is 25 CR 651F. Miss Florence has got, I believe, 2 cycles, and you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is Miss Melnick. Mr. Ham, what's the recommendation for Miss Florence?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on January 17th, 2025 at 2920 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive at an H&R Block, where the victim, Miss Pamela Baker, who was present on Zoom, worked as a tax preparer. She indicated to the defendant in this case that she would not be able to file her taxes. The defendant became upset. She grabbed a knife, threatened to kill her as she walked out the house, out the H&R Block. She turned around, tapped on the glass a few times, and still continued to threaten to kill Ms. Baker. Your Honor, the police arrived. They were able to view the video footage, which the officer observed the defendant standing at the glass door holding the knife in her hand. They also was able to look at the glass at the location and determine that there was a slight crack in the glass apparently from the knife and Miss Florence, the defendant's tapping on the knife. I do believe Ms. Baker is present. We spoke to her earlier. She wants to have no further contact with the defendant in this case and for her to stay away from that location. The state, even though she does not have much of a criminal history, based upon the threats of death and with a violent injury or with a dangerous weapon, the state is asking for $3,500 surety bond on terroristic threats and a $500 surety bond on the criminal trespass damage to property.
Miss Pamela Baker, if you want to address this case, you would need to unmute and start your video. Miss Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. I did speak to my client who might benefit from one of our accountability courts. So accordingly, with that, she has told me that she was not, based on what she told me, she said that she was not threatening anyone, that she felt that she was about to be attacked, and she was outside. She was not in the building. She did leave but she was out there waiting because she felt that they were going to attack her at that time. She does not have a significant criminal history. We are asking for a signature bond, and we'll have a social worker go and visit her.
All right. Miss Pamela Baker, you've unmuted your screen. Would you like to address the court? You will need your video on.
They disabled it, so it's saying that it cannot be turned on.
Give us a moment. Ms. Grace? Okay. Yes, Ms. Baker, if you'd like to raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Ham has already indicated the details of this alleged incident. Do you have anything else to add?
We did not try to attack the young lady at all. Nobody threatened her. I just basically informed her that she was not getting a refund. She didn't owe the IRS and they didn't owe her, and she lost it. She definitely my opinion is she needs some kind of mental health help, therapy or something.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. If you please unmute your screen, I appreciate it. Thank you. On the terroristic threats, that's going to be 1,500. On the criminal trespass is 1,000. That's a $2,500 surety bond. No further contact with Pamela Baker, and to stay 200 yards away from where she physically is, her offices and her place of home and so forth. Also, Ms. Florence, there will be a social worker visit to evaluate the case to see where it moves forward. And your next court date is going to be February 20th. And Ms. Melnick, shall I place it on the 11 a.m. calendar or shall I keep it with the 9 a.m.?
I don't know if it'll be approved. So
Okay.
Let's keep it on the 11 o'clock for now.
I'll keep it on 9 a.m. then.
I'm sorry, 9. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. All right, Ms. Baker, you are free to go. Next case, please.
Position number 10, Green.
This is Demetria Green, accused of battery family violence from February 7th, 2025, case number 25CR 670Y. Ms. Green, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Ms. Melnick. I understand this is her third arrest cycle. Mr. Ham, do you have anything else to add for bond recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on February 7th, 2025, between the defendant and her living significant other, Veronica, excuse me, apologize, Vernika Shepard. She claimed they got into an argument where the defendant grabbed Miss Shepard by her collar and threw her on the ground, and she fell on the speaker box. The officers was able to observe a scratch on her right arm. Based upon her criminal history, the state is asking for a signature bond, no further contact with Vernika Shepard, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while on a bond.
Ms. Vernika Shepard, if you're present. No. Ms. Grace, is there anyone in the waiting room?
No, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense has, sorry. One day I'll stop. The defense has no objection to a signature bond. This is really out of character. I think that I know that her daughter, my client's daughter, did die last year of cancer, and that I believe the complaining witness also had a sibling, a child that also has passed away. And my client is a ramp agent at Delta and has been for many years. So this is really out of character. So I don't think you will see her back.
Okay. Bond is going to be set at $2,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. She has to have no further contact with Ms.
My wallet. I need my wallet.
All right. Ms. Grace, we can go ahead and mute Mr. Melly until we're ready. Thank you. As I was saying, Ms. Melnick, your client has got a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Shepard. If they're living together, she's allowed to return to the location one time only to retrieve her belongings, and she'll need to do that visit with a police officer. She must update the court with her new mailing address, and unless, of course, on that visit with the officer is verified that Ms. Shepard has vacated the premises, then she can return to the location. But they cannot share the same roof until further order of the court.
Right. And Your Honor, I did explain this. I just want to be very clear that because I did explain this to my client, she stated that she had friends that she could stay with, but that she is not allowed to go back there. I know that they live together, but at this point, until bond is modified, you cannot go back there.
Ms. Green, do you understand what your attorney said? All right. So within 30 days of being released, you will update the court with your new mailing address in writing. And also you will enroll and complete 12 anger management classes. You will start your anger management classes within 45 days of being released. Thank you.
Stepped away from the
Next court date will be sent to her new address. courtroom 2.
We can go to position number 6, Mr. Cox.
And Ms. Grace, could you please let Mr. Dodis know that we are ready to address this case as well?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry, I just couldn't hear her. What's the name of the person?
This is position 6, George Cox.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cox is charged with criminal trespass and theft by taking from February 7th of 2025. And the case number is 25 CR 654F. Mr. Cox, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Melnick. I've got 15 arrest cycles. Mr. Howard, can you clarify how many open cases he presently has?
Looks like about 5 or 6. There's a lot of them. Hold on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About 7 look like it. We'll go with 7. A couple of FTAs from, two from 2024, one from 2024 theft by taking, 2020 disorderly conduct conviction.
Thank you. Mr. Hand, what's your recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. He also has 2 open cases here in Fulton County, possession and use of drug-related object and giving false name under 24 CR 003299 F as in Frank. He also has an open criminal trespass and theft by taking case. That's 25 CR 000654. Oh, no, excuse me. That's this case. I apologize.
That's right.
So, Your Honor, the incident location was 1230 West Peachtree Street on February 7th. This Foxtail Coffee Company. Officers were flagged down by the manager, who indicated that this particular defendant had came in there the day before and took $30 from the cash register and then returned to the location. The incident was caught on video surveillance camera. The police were able to identify that the person that took the money the prior day was wearing the same clothes as the defendant in this case, Your Honor. Based upon his open record, his criminal history, his open cases, we do think he has a risk to reoffend. So we are asking for $1,000 surety bond on a criminal trespass and $1,000 surety bond on a theft by taking, and to stay away from 1230 West Peachtree Street.
Ms. Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is employed. He is from Atlanta. And he does work for Gus's Fried Chicken. I do believe there's a Gus's there. And I do not believe that he has a significant convictions of criminal history. And we are asking for a UJR on his case.
On the criminal trespass is 1,000, theft by taking is 1,000. This is a $2,000 surety bond. Stay away from 1230 West Peachtree Street, and no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Next court date is February 20th. Thank you. Oh, and we're going to reset this case to February 20th along with Ms. Bridgewater. That would be with 24 CR 003. I think 299F. Thank you.
You understand?
I don't know where that surety bond is. What is in the surety bond?
A surety bond is one in which you have to pay for the bond either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. Bonding companies will charge you between 10 to 15% of the total bond amount.
I think there's more.
Yeah. All right. Miss Grace, could you remove Mr. Melly from the Zoom until he finishes his cigarette? Then we will resume and address him. Thank you. Remove him from Zoom. Thank you. All right, moving on. Mr. Dodis, who's your client's last name?
Takuba, Your Honor, position 19.
Thank you. Ms. Lane, if I may place you under oath, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. We are addressing a misdemeanor case against Francisco Tacuba, charged with battery, family violence from December 1st, 2024.
Estamos aquí para abordar el caso del señor Tacuba, Francisco Tacuba, bajo un cargo de violencia intrafamiliar que ocurrió el 1 de diciembre del 2024.
Mr. Tacuba, your case number is 25CR 664A.
Señor Tacuba, su número de caso es 25CR 664A.
You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you.
Usted tiene el derecho a permanecer en silencio. Cualquier cosa que usted diga aquí en la corte puede ser usado y será usado en su contra.
You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you.
Tiene derecho a tener un abogado. Si usted no puede contratar a su propio abogado, se nombrará un abogado de oficio para que lo represente.
Presently, your attorney is Mr. Angelo Dodes.
Actualmente su abogado es el señor Angelo Dodes.
Mr. Dodes, this is his first arrest, so I will ask Ms. Mukeke for her recommendation.
Como es el primer arresto que tiene, lo van a preguntar a la señorita para la recomendación.
Your Honor, the victim in this case is Fatima Gutierrez, who lived with the defendant, and they also share a child.
La víctima en este caso es Fátima Gutiérrez. Ella vive con el acusado y también tienen un niño en común.
The defendant and victim were arguing because the victim did not want him to drive because he was intoxicated.
La víctima y el acusado estaban discutiendo porque la víctima no quería que el acusado manejara porque él estaba embriagado.
The victim took the defendant's keys, and after he failed to grab them from her, he grabbed her and then proceeded to strike her.
La víctima le quitó las llaves al acusado y cuando él le quiso agarrar las llaves a ella de nuevo, le pegó.
The victim sustained scratches to her neck, and the defendant took the keys and left the location before police arrived.
La víctima sufrió rasguños en el cuello y el acusado se fue manejando de la casa antes de que la policía llegara.
We have reached out to the victim but have not had the opportunity to speak with her yet.
Hemos tratado de comunicarnos con la víctima, pero no hemos podido tener la oportunidad de hablar con ella todavía.
The state's recommendation is a signature bond, stay away from the incident location, no further contact with the victim at this time, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond, an anger awareness, or an FBIP.
Okay, lo que estamos sugiriendo es que se le dé una fianza bajo palabra o lo que llaman una fianza para firmarlo, que se mantenga alejado de la ubicación, que no tenga contacto con la víctima, no puede utilizar drogas ni armas de fuego ni utilizar alcohol y tiene que tener, what was the last one? The awareness.
Anger awareness or a domestic violence program.
Y tiene que participar en un programa de violencia intrafamiliar o de estar al tanto de tener un temperamento que no es indicado.
Mr. Doris?
Thank you, Judge. I'm not on mute. Mr. Takuba is 31 years old, Your Honor. I have good contact information. He's been in Atlanta for a little over a year. Before that, he resided in California, but he came here for work and to be with his girlfriend Fatima and their child.
Ok, tengo información sobre el señor Tabuka. Él tiene 31 años de edad. Está aquí en Atlanta por un año y luego venían de California. Y luego vino para Atlanta por razones de trabajo y para estar con su novia.
He currently works at a window tinting body shop called Tint World in Chambly.
Actualmente él está trabajando en un taller de polarización de los vidrios que se llama Tint World en Chambly.
He shares a 1-year-old child with Fatima, and he is the primary provider of the family.
Él tiene un hijo en común con Fátima y el acusado es el que mantiene a la familia, el que está económicamente manteniendo a la familia.
Your Honor, he disputes the allegation, but does say that there was a verbal argument on December 1st.
Él disputa los alegatos que se hacen, las alegaciones, pero sí dijo que hubo una discusión el 1 de diciembre.
Following this incident, the parties kept living together and there have been no follow-up incidents.
Después que ocurrió esto, las partes siguieron viviendo juntas y que no ha habido ningún otro incidente que haya ocurrido después del incidente que ocurrió en diciembre.
Your Honor, Mr. Takiba does reside at the incident location. That apartment is in his name. He's the one that pays rent and supports Fatima and their child. Fatima does not currently work. And so if he was not able to have contact or return to that location, he's not sure what Fatima would do to survive with their son.
Su señoría, el señor Tacuba, también vive en el mismo lugar, en ese mismo apartamento. El apartamento está en nombre de él. Él es el que mantiene esta vivienda. Fátima en este momento no está trabajando. Si él no puede regresar a la vivienda, no sabemos cómo ellos van a poder mantenerse.
Mr. Takiba did provide me with a number for Fatima, but she does not speak English. And because of our time with the translator, I haven't had time to try to work something out to have her speak with the court today.
El señor Tacuba me proporcionó el teléfono de Fátima, pero ella no habla inglés y como hemos estado ocupados con la intérprete, no hemos tenido tiempo de llamarla para poder saber qué quiere hacer la señorita Fátima.
Mr. Takiba wanted me to make sure that I let the court know how much he loves his wife and baby and wants to continue providing for them.
El señor Tacuba me quería que yo le dejara saber a la juez lo mucho que él quiere a su esposa y a su hijo y que él quiere continuar manteniéndolos a ellos.
And Your Honor, he'll do whatever classes or anything he needs to do to have that opportunity. He would ask for no further violent contact with Fatima.
Sí, señoría, él hará todo lo que tenga que usted le mande a hacer, clases y todo lo que usted mande a hacer para tener la oportunidad de poder tener contacto con ellos, que sea un contacto sin violencia con Fátima.
Any conditions the court deems appropriate to protect Fatima, the family, and the public.
Cualquier condiciones que la juez considere que son necesarias para proteger al público, a Fátima, y a las personas que están alrededor de él.
We would ask for the 1-day anger awareness course, but if an EPFIP is what the court deems appropriate, we would ask that he be given. I'm not sure how EPFIP works with foreign languages, so I would ask for him to have ample time to make sure he finds one that is in Spanish.
Le estoy pidiendo yo sugiero que le pongan el programa de reconocimiento y de entender del temperamento, que es de un día, un curso de un día que es el más apropiado, pero no sé cómo, si este programa, debido al idioma, puede ser el apropiado para él.
They do have them in different languages.
Sí los tienen en varios idiomas, ha dicho la juez.
Okay, thank you. Bond is going to be set at 3,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, and he has to report to pretrial twice a month. It's a level 2.
Ok, se fija la fianza, que es una fianza bajo palabra de $3,500, y tiene que hacerlo por medio de los servicios previos al juicio y tiene que verse con ellos 2 veces was it 2 times a week, John, or 2 times a week?
Twice a month.
2 veces 2 veces al mes.
While he is on pretrial, he will enroll and complete a domestic violence intervention program. Within 30 days of being released, he will be able to find the program in Spanish.
Una vez que se inscriba con el programa previo a la condena o el servicio que tiene que reunirse con ellos, ahí va a encontrar para que se inscriba en un programa para llevar la clase de violencia intrafamiliar y tiene 30 días para hacer eso del momento en que lo que lo dejen en libertad bajo fianza.
He has to attend and complete all 26 classes without missing or skipping them.
Tiene que asistir y completar todas las 26 clases sin dejar de ir a ninguna.
He is not allowed to drive unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration.
No se le permite que pueda manejar a menos de que tenga una licencia válida de manejar, el seguro apropiado y la matrícula indicada.
He's not to consume any alcoholic beverages, no illegal drugs, and not own and possess any firearms or weapons.
Él no puede ingerir ningún tipo de alcohol ni de drogas, ni tampoco puede poseer ningún tipo de armas de fuego.
He will be subject to random screens for drugs and alcohol by pretrial.
Y se le va a tener que someterse a registros al azar y también tuvo que someterse a exámenes de detención de drogas al azar cuando se lo indique agentes del orden público.
He may have no violent contact with Fatima Gutierrez.
No puede tener ningún tipo de contacto violento con Fátima Gutiérrez.
If there is any future physical or verbal altercation while he is on bond, the bond will be revoked and he will be back in jail.
Si en el futuro hay algún tipo de altercados, tanto sea físicos o verbales, con la víctima, se le va a revocar la fianza y regresar y lo pondrán de nuevo en la cárcel.
He's to maintain a current address and he will report to court when we send him notice or summons.
Tiene que tener una dirección actual y tiene que presentarse a comparecer ante la corte cuando se le indique que tiene la siguiente audiencia.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you, Judge.
Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Position number 1, Anderson.
This is sorry?
Your Honor, may I be excused or you need me?
Please, yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Anderson?
Yes, Darius Anderson is position 1, case number 25 CR 652A. Mr. Anderson is accused of simple battery family violence from February 4th, 2025. And Mr. Anderson, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is Ms. Melnick, and this is his second arrest. He's got a probation matter out of Rockdale County from a April 2023 conviction. Mr. Hand, what's your recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on February 4th, 2025. The police responded to 2800 M. Martin Luther King Drive. There they met with the victim, Lashante T. Lashuntae Teague. They indicated Ms. Teague stated that her boyfriend, which is the defendant, was inside their apartment arguing. He took her phone, and then an altercation happened, and he pulled her to the floor by her pants, ripping them, and started hitting her on the side of her torso, Your Honor. Based upon that incident, I believe her son intervened and shot the defendant in this case.
Yes, I've already read the warrant about that. I do understand that situation. But what is your bond recommendation for?
My bond recommendation for this particular incident is a $1,500 surety bond, no further contact with Lashante Teague, no drugs, alcohol, or firearms while out on bond.
All right. And have you all had a chance to speak to Miss Lashante Teague?
We reached out to Ms. Teague, but we have not had a chance to speak with her personally, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. The complaining witness in this case is 39. My client is 21. This is her adult son that shot him. He shot him twice, and he's been in Grady and just came back. I noticed that pretrial, in the pretrial release paperwork, they recommended him for pretrial level 1. Given his serious fact that he's been in the hospital and was shot twice, and given the fact that he has been previously recommended for level 1, we are asking for a signature bond on this case. I did speak to him, and he is going to be able to go and stay with his family, and they can help take care of him.
Okay. A bond is going to be set at $2,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. No further contact with Lashante Teague. No further contact with, I think it's Jarvis or Jaborius Teague. I'm sorry, I can't read my own writing at some point. Mr. Anderson, I have read the warrant. I'm not certain of what is going on with the person who shot you, but that doesn't eliminate the fact that this is still an active, open criminal case against you. I'm giving you a release bond, and you are to have no contact with Lashante and her family, including her adult children. You are to stay away from 2800 MLK Drive, the entire apartment complex, including apartment G17. You're allowed to go there one time only with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings, but within 30 days of being released, you must update us with your new mailing address. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and you will attend and complete 2 anger awareness classes with pretrial services. Your next court date will be sent to your new address. Thank you.
Position number 4, Cleveland.
Gary Cleveland is accused of simple battery, family violence, and reckless conduct from February 3rd, 2025, in case 25 CR 663J. Mr. Cleveland, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Ms. Melnick. I understand this is his 3rd arrest. Anything else, Mr. Hand?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on February 3rd, 2025 at 6543 Split Line Court in Atlanta, Georgia. The victim in this case, Natalie Dyer, flagged down. Yes, Your Honor. NatalieDyer. She indicated that her boyfriend at the time, which is the defendant, was in the house. He had drunk a whole bottle of Paul Mason and began to threaten to kill himself. She tried to apologize.
Can we, okay,
Yes.
we're talking code.
Yes, I forgot about that. I apologize.
Moving on.
I'm sorry.
Moving on, please. What's your recommendation?
Yeah, the recommendation for this particular case is a $500 signature bond for the simple battery and a $10,000 surety bond on the reckless conduct, mental health evaluation, no further contact with Natalie Dyer, no drugs or alcohol, and must surrender all firearms.
Ms. Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. This case is, I don't feel like I'm going to present to the court that he's not so much as a threat to anyone else, except he was maybe to himself at that time. He was taken to Grady for a 72-hour observation. They have released him at this time. Given that he does have ties to the community, he does have, it was a UJR recommendation of level 1, and given the condition, I want him in the healthiest environment as possible. And he understands he will not go back there. He does have family in Atlanta that he can stay with. We are asking for a UJR on both counts. Again, it's not so much a danger to himself, to others, as to himself.
And who is the family that he's going to be staying with?
I believe it was his, didn't you say it was your mother?
No?
Let me see. Sister? There's a sister. I'm sorry, it's a sister.
All right. And
she can come and pick him up too.
All right. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Melnick?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. On the simple battery, there's going to be a $2,000 signature bond for pretrial services, level 1. He would need to make sure that he updates the court with his new address and that he's living with his sister. And with regards to the reckless conduct, that's going to be a $2,000 surety bond. His total bond is going to be a $4,000 split bond. No further contact with Natalie Dyer, to stay away from 6543 Split Vine or in whatever that location is that he used to live with Ms. Dyer. And he is required to enroll in a MH program within 15 days of being released and be compliant with all treatment and medication. If he's unable to make bond, then there needs to be a social worker visit with regard to this matter. His next court date will be February 20th. Unless he makes bond, then he will need to make sure that he reports to pretrial once a month. Thank you.
What level is that?
Level 1.
Position number 5, Collins.
Jeremy Collins is accused of willful obstruction and disorderly conduct from August 29th of last year, 25 CR 669C. Mr. Collins, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Ms. Melnick. I understand this.
I don't have nothing for Collins. Hold on.
That's the one we didn't have for GCIC. Mr. Hack, do you have one?
Yeah, he wasn't on my pull sheet.
He put the bind over from, Union City.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, Ms. McCakey, if you please unmute.
Yes, I have that he has 5 arrest cycles. I see a December 19th, 2024 battery, family violence, criminal trespass, terroristic threats and acts, and then a 2024 disorderly conduct, intimidate law enforcement officer or immediate family in retaliation / response to discharge of officer's official duties, and then a 2016 willful obstruction criminal trespass. This incident occurred at 6109 Hickory Lane Drive in Union City. Officers responded to the incident location in response to a suspicious person. They made contact with the defendant and ordered him to stop in order for them to further investigate. The defendant proceeded to tell officers, "Fuck you," and he walked away while disobeying their orders. He then reached for a sharp object in his waistband, so officers took him to the ground where he continued to resist and act erratic. Eventually, officers were able to place him in handcuffs and successfully detain him. It does look like they found a knife / cutting instrument on his person. The state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond. Stay away from that incident location. I'm not sure if he lives there, but of course, if he doesn't live there, stay away. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
I have a 6216 Hickory Lane, but you said it was 6109?
Yeah, 6109 Hickory Lane Drive.
Okay. Ms. Melnick?
Yes, your client. Yes, Your Honor. My client is charged with obstruction. He does have a hold on him. He found him from Union City. He's been in. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me get back. I'm sorry, but I have him confused. Okay. He was in Fulton County when he missed his Union City court date. The Union City. So then he went back, transferred to Union City. Then they transferred him back here, Your Honor. He has been in jail for over 4 days on an obstruction case, which we all know would probably mostly sometimes be time served. I'm not saying it would be in this case, but given that, we would ask for a signature bond on his case.
It's $500 on each count. It's a $1,000 surety bond. Stay away from 6109 Hickory Lane Drive in Union City. And no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. So in other words, Mr. Collins, you're not allowed to be in possession or be carrying any firearms or anything that can be fashioned as a weapon, such as a knife. Your next court date will be February 20th. Thank you.
Position number 8, Huron.
Micah Nicole Fioron is accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property from September 6, 2024. Mr. Fioron, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Melnick. Your case number is 25 CR 657A. Mr. Fioron has 6 cycles with cases in Carroll County, Cobb County, Gwinnett County, and Forsyth County. Mr. Ham, what's your recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred at 8601 Roberts Drive, where the victim in this case, Chiante Reese, CHIANTI Reese, indicated that she and her boyfriend got into an argument, which was the defendant at that time. She left the location and she came back and her laptop was destroyed. She has text messages from the defendant indicating that, yes, he broke her laptop because he was upset. He's still on first offender probation for robbery from January of 2018. He has open cases in Cobb County for firearm theft by receiving stolen property. He has an open case in Carrollton County for forgery and possession. So based upon his criminal history, Your Honor, the state is asking for a $1,500 surety bond on a criminal trespass. Stay away from 8601 Roberts Drive. To have no further contact with Chiante Reese. We were able to reach out to her. She indicated that she would not be present during the Zoom meeting, but she does not want him to contact her at all.
Okay. Ms. Melnick?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm so sorry. I had him confused with the last one because I didn't have a pull sheet for so anyway, yes, my client, this client, Your Honor, he was locked up for 4 months in Cobb before he was transferred here. So that he has obviously lost his job because he was unemployed. He has a hold in Forsyth for forgery. We are asking for a signature bond. so that he can go on to Forsyth and start handling and globally resolving all his cases.
All right. Bond is set at $1,000 surety with a release to any pending holds. No further contact with Sheontae Reese to stay away from 8601 Roberts Drive in Atlanta, Georgia, and to update the court with his new mailing address within 30 days of being released from either Fulton County or any other holds. Thank you. Oh, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Next court date is February 20th. Sorry, Deputy. What was the next case?
Number 13, Jones.
Cornelius Jones is accused of disorderly conduct from February 6th of this year, case number 25 CR 655F. Mr. Jones has got 6 arrest cycles with an open case in Fulton County. Anything to recommend, Ms. Mukeke?
Yes, Your Honor. For this incident, officers responded to the location in response to 2 suspicious males knocking on the door of an apartment. While checking out the vicinity for the suspected individuals, they located the defendant behind an apartment building in possession of 2 beer cans, the strong odor of alcohol emanating from his person. They initiated a conversation with him, and he began displaying increasingly erratic and aggressive behavior that was disruptive to the point where officers were concerned for their safety. He also failed to comply with basic inquiries from the officers, and his behavior was disrupting the area. The state's recommendation is a $500 surety bond. Stay away from that location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Any objection, Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Jones is 37 years old. He's a lifelong resident of Atlanta. Your Honor, I have a good address for him that is in the paperwork. That's where he'll be living with his stepfather. Your Honor, he does have family in the area, including his father, Stephen Jones, and sister Riella, who I do have contact information from. Your Honor, he's a graduate of Benjamin Banker High School, and he's currently working for a auto mechanic with his father. It's like an entrepreneurial venture. They don't have a name yet, but they are stationed on Metropolitan, where he's trying to learn the trade and take it over from his father. Your Honor, regarding this incident, the warrant makes no connection between the reason for the call and speaking with my client, Mr. Jones. When I spoke with Mr. Jones, he stated he was walking home from his brother's house after missing the bus home. Halfway there, he stopped in this apartment complex to try and make a call to his brother to see if he was home. He went to his brother's home. His brother wasn't home. To get home, he missed the bus that would take him home. Halfway there, he was getting tired, and so he stopped to see if his brother could come pick him up. He stopped to make that phone call. Next thing he knew, officers were coming up to him. He didn't know why. He, wanted to go mind his own business, go on his way. And Your Honor, at this time, we're just asking for a signature bond so that Mr. Jones can get back to work and work on his defense for this case. So
he was leaving work and was walking home, missed the bus, and stopped by this place to talk to his brother?
My apologies, Your Honor. I kind of jumbled it. He wasn't at work. He was going to see his brother at his brother's home. When he got there, his brother wasn't home, and so he decided to go home. He waited for the bus, and my understanding is he had just missed it, so decided to walk home. Halfway there, he wanted to call his brother and see if his brother would pick up the phone and give him a call. And then at that time is when officers approached him. And again, nothing in the warrant connects him to why officers were initially responded to that incident location. And he understands if he needs to stay away from that incident location, he has no reason to be at that apartment complex. He can walk around it.
Okay. $500 surety bond, reset date February 20th, and stay away from the entire apartment complex.
You're on the address of that apartment complex.
It is 2422 Stone Road in East Point, Georgia.
Okay, thank you.
No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and firearms. And if he makes bond, please make sure that he reports back to court.
Number 14, Luster.
Deron Hassan Luster is accused of a PI charge and distributing prohibited materials. Is this our last case, Deputy?
No, we have number 15 and then Mr. 16, McKinney, he waived.
Okay. Can we do 15 and then do this at the end?
Okay, we can do that. Come on.
Thank you, Judge.
And who represents Mr. McKinney for position 16?
That'll be me, Your Honor, and I did have a chance to speak with him, but he did waive his presence.
Okay. This is Jeremiah McKenzie, accused of theft by shoplifting and willful obstruction of an officer in case number 25 CR 659E. Incident date is February 6, 2025. Mr. McKenzie, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Dotis. He has about 20 arrest cycles. I believe he has an open felony case at the present time. Ms. Mukeke, what's your recommendation?
The recommendation for Mr. McKinney, who was caught stealing $115 worth of items from the Family Dollar located at 3050 MLK Drive in Atlanta, is a $1,000 surety bond. Stay away from that location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol. When officers tried to detain him, he also attempted to flee.
Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. McKenzie is 46 years old. I do have good contact information, including his aunt and sister. He will be staying with his sister, which is the address in the paperwork. Your Honor, he does have his GED, and he currently works at the VIP Hand Wash Car Wash on Simpson Road. He's a father of 4, including 3 young children, ages 10, 7, and 5. The 3 younger kids are staying with his sister now while he deals with this matter. Your Honor, I would note that the items that were allegedly taken look like hygiene and essential products. Your Honor, Mr. McKenzie, we would just ask for a signature bond so that Mr. McKenzie can get back to providing for his family, and he'd welcome any conditions that the court deems appropriate.
On the theft by shoplifting, $1,000. On the obstructions, $500. That's a $1,500 surety bond. Reset date is February 20th. To stay away from all Family Dollar stores, including the one at 1350 MLK Junior Drive. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna have to clear the courtroom for the last person.
Okay, while you're doing that, I can address Lawrence McKinney.
Perfect.
Mr. McKinney's presence has been waived. Case number 25 CR 660F, accused of theft by taking and willful obstruction from February 6, 2025. Mr. McKinney has about 40 arrest cycles, including multiple open cases in Fulton County. I am not going to go through his GCIC, Mr. Dotis, unless you want me to, but it's quite lengthy.
Oh, I never asked to go through GCICs, Your Honor.
All right, just want to be sure. Ms. McKenzie, I'm familiar with it. What's your recommendation?
The recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond. No further contact with Michael Beecham. Stay away from the incident location, or actually all Home Depots. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
And that was a surety bond?
A surety bond, Your Honor.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Dotis, any objection?
Your Honor, I would just note that Mr. McKinney is 36 years old. He says that his address in the paperwork provided is correct. He's resided in Atlanta a couple of years. He does have his bachelor's degree, but is currently in between jobs right now. He does understand that he has a couple of different things going on. So he understands that he'll have to deal with those as well. I just asked for a signature bond, but I understand the court's position.
Wish I could, but Ms. McKinney unfortunately has been very active. Theft by taking is 1,000, willful obstruction is 500. This is a $1,500 surety bond, and this is a release to any of his pending holds. Presently, I can see a hold in Fulton Superior, in DeKalb, and in Chicago, Illinois. So whoever gets him first.
Understood. And Your Honor, he does have, I think, an older misdemeanor case, if that could track for his SAP reset date.
Could you give me that case number if you have it? Oh, by the way, he's also to stay away from all Home Depot stores. I didn't write down that case number. I'm sorry. Miss,
Oh, yeah, it's 24 CR 003717F.
okay, Miss Bridgewater, did we get that?
Yes, Your Honor, I have it.
Okay, so both cases will be on February 20th. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Miss Grace, if we can pause the live stream. Okay, Jackie Hodges, is that courthouse staff?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and let me see. Okay, and Mr. Malay has left us. Okay,
Judges Jackie Hodges, court staff.
I think somebody said that. Miss Jackie Hodges, are you with court staff? I'm sorry if we don't recognize the name.
Hi, Your Honor. No, I was here because we got a voice message from someone in regards to my son, Marvin Dandridge.
We had Dandridge on yesterday.
Yes. All right, I will address you shortly, but right now I'm going to put you in the waiting room, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
While you're waiting, try to figure out how to start your video.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go
Thank
ahead, place her in the waiting room, please. All right, and Miss Grace, if we can pause the live stream. End the live stream, please. We can continue with the recording, but the live stream has to stop. Thank